What's going on, YouTube? I'm back to y'all with another haircut tutorial. Now this is going to be a little bit different because I'm going to be using my awesome fast speeds wood grain editions, and I'm going to kind of just let my wall magic cordless clippers chill for a little bit. I've been using those a lot in these videos, but I'm going to switch it up and use the awesome fast speeds. These are some pretty amazing clippers right here. And to do my edging on this video, I'm going to use my Andes GTX T outliners, and they are modified, meaning I cut that plastic off just so I can get around the ear, around the mustache a lot easier, and it is zero gap. And this right here I balled out with the Andes MVP rotary motor detachable clipper, meaning the blade on top does detach. You could take it off and add other blades on there. Right now I have the 5.0 blade on there. And then in this video I'm going to use hair fibers for the enhancement, and the applicator is on top. See right there, see the hair fibers pump out. And then right here I'm using the #1 double magnetic guard, and I'm going with the grain. This is going to be a ball taper, you could call it a 9.5, a blowout. There's so many names for this haircut. So it's basically just fading around the sideburn area and then the bottom of the neck. And I'm just gonna go all the way even, all the way around with the #1 guard, and just get it all the way even, going with the grain, meaning whichever way the hair grows, because he does have waves. So a #1 with the grain is just enough for wavelength. Now if a client does have coarse hair or thicker waves, and you can do a half and you can still see waves. And right here I just wanted to point out, there is 9 out of 10 times there's always a swirl in the back right there on the top of the crown, and just be careful in that area. Just always have a brush or a comb in handy, that way you can brush the hair which way it grows. Alright, so right here I'm balding out the bottom of the neck with the Andes MVPs, getting it nice and smooth, nice and even. And then I'm going to start blending the next guideline with the lever open, which is a half. Guys, I did zero gap my Oster fast feeds. It's a little bit different than just loosening the screws and trying to move the blade close. I had one of the barbers in the shop, Shannon, he zero gapped them for me. So alright, so right there I took out that line, just closing the lever, and now I'm using the third guideline, which is #1 guard with the lever all the way open, so 1.5. And then I just move the lever down, so I go from all the way open to middle to close, and then I just play with that lever. Alright, so right here I'm using my half guard, knocking out the #1 guideline. Now guys, just pay attention to this area, especially in the back of the neck when you're doing tapers. Typically there's like a little bit of a crease in the middle of the neck, so you could use the corner of the blade. Also, there's times where you have to use no blade, or depending on how low it is right there in that area, you may have to go lower, just because it's so dark in that area. You may have to go lower to blend that out. And always go against the grain, especially when you're fading. Now you're not always just going straight up or to the side. You may need to turn your clipper a certain way to go against the grain to get the hair cut. Especially right there where the neckline is at, to the left and to the right, the hair grows a certain way, so you may have to turn that clipper or just use the corner of the blade to make sure that hair is cutting. So right here I went back to no guard with the lever open, and just working the corner of the blades to start blending that into the half. And guys, when you're doing this type of haircut, it does kind of put a little bit of stress on the client's neck. So if you just ask your client to kind of look down, and without you putting pressure on his head, I mean, the client's gonna feel a little more comfortable if he just puts his head down instead of you forcing him to look down. Alright, so most people don't use this guard, especially with doing a number 1 with the grain, but just this area was a little bit darker, so I started using my 2 guard, and I just started with the lever open, because remember, you can always take hair off, you can't put hair back on. So I always start high, and if it's not cutting, then I just move the lever down. It's just trial and error. Alright, so you can see that taper coming together, and I just went back to my 1 guard to kind of brush things up and bring that blend together. Alright, so we're going to start lining up the neckline right here with the Andis GTX T-out liners. Again, they are modified and 0 gap, but you can see right here, this is a kid, so I use them on adults and children. He's not really a child, he's almost a teenager. My boy RJ right here, he's a beast on the court. He's an up and coming superstar. Alright, so we're balding that out right there. Alright, we're going to use my Andis Pro Foil shaver to get that real nice and bald. And then my next guideline is going to be the lever open, which is a half. I'm kind of using the same steps as I did on the back of the neck. And I'm just going to work that level down, the lever down. So I go from a half to a middle to close, and I just kind of play with it in the middle to knock that half line out. This is number 1 guard. You saw how I started with the lever open, then I'll put it in the middle, and then I'll close it. Alright, this is a half guard. And again, guys, I always use the same steps. I always start open, close, open, middle, close. Just to see how dark his waves are right there, I just took the 2 guard and kind of just knocked that bulk off. You could always use a 1.5. You could always use a 1 guard with the lever open, which is a 1.5, and you could flick. But me personally, I do not like flicking. I don't like that flicking motion. I like more of a C cup motion, bringing the clipper towards me, not really flicking. I feel like you don't get that blend right when you flick. Only if you need to. There are some certain areas or different type of haircuts where you need to flick, but I think it's a bad habit. So I don't really flick. I guess I'm just not really scared to make a line. If I were to accidentally make a line, I know how to take them out. So we're just doing the same thing we did to the other side to this side. Alright, so notice how I keep this area a little bit darker, just so that edge up can pop and that C cup can be a little darker. Alright, so right here I'm spraying some spritz. It's just to hold the hair in place, and I don't know if you've seen on Instagram and stuff where they have like that white ash mark. It's either hairspray, alcohol, or spritz, but That's how they get that white line. I use it just to hold the hair in place and brush it all forward, and while I'm edging up, especially on this texture of hair. And you can see he has a light spot right there in that area. I'm not taking this line up that high. It just grows different in that area. So we're gonna keep his line up natural as possible, and then we're gonna add the hair fibers at the end. It is temporary, but whenever you add like a spritz or a hairspray to it, it does last a little longer. It doesn't come off with just wiping it off with your fingers. You always want to keep those hairlines natural as possible, and then just enhance it or go back with the razor and make it pop. Alright, so I added more spritz, blow dried it. This is the hair fibers. The applicator does not come with it. You have to buy it separately. So you can see how the line is getting darker, and the front of it is getting real dark. And then you just go back with your outliners, and you see how crispy and dark that edge is. And it's not a fake edge up, it's an enhancement, and it is an upcharge. There's nothing wrong with doing this, y'all. Clients love this. They appreciate things like this. It's his hairline, but it's just enhanced. Alright, so I'm going right here with the razor. I am going with the grain because he didn't have too much like hair to kind of razor it off. I'm just kind of adding that extra sharpness with the razor and going with the grain. There's no need to go against the grain on this hairline because I didn't see any like new growth. I went real natural with his hairline. Alright, so here's a close-up of the finished product. Ball taper, one with the grain and hair fiber application. I think this is a dope look. This is a clean haircut, especially for kids. This is a close-up of the front edge, real crispy. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and share. Here's all my social media. Thank you for all the support. I love y'all. Stay